Now we're going to talk about CircuitSpace cross-probing. CircuitSpace cross-probing gives you the capability of cross-probing between the Allegro PCB editor and a PDF of your schematic. The PDF of your schematic is used by the Adobe Reader, which is a free reader, or it can also be used by the Acrobat toolset. To start cross-probing, you first open up a communication port within Allegro by clicking CircuitSpace cross-probe, start cross-probing. Once you've done that, you'll see at the command line, it'll say cross-probing enabled. You'll then come over to your Adobe Reader and either select Cross-Probe Selection Tool from the CircuitSpace drop-down menu, or from the CircuitSpace toolbar, you'll select the left icon. You'll see that the initialization is happening. Once the communication port has been received and initialized, you'll see your crosshair in Adobe will now look like a component. This gives you the capability of selecting a component in the PDF and seeing where those components reside in the schematic or in the PCB editor. You can select multiple elements. If you hold a shift button down, you can add to the selection set. You can also hold a control button down, which will toggle the current state of the elements that were selected. So you'll see that I'm selecting 4 elements that were not selected prior and 4 that were selected. And this will toggle the state of all 8 elements. If you click within the Adobe Reader, it resets the selection set. If I wanted to select multiple pages or multiple elements from multiple pages, let's just say I select these 5 pages. I can hold a shift button down and say Add Pages Selected. I can then go to the 6th page and I can hold a shift button down and say, well, also add these elements and these elements. And you'll see that they get highlighted in the PCB editor. Or I can just add all the other elements on that page. Now within Allegro, you can see that the elements have been highlighted. But unlike cross-probing with other environments or other methodologies, you can also do click on a right mouse button and say define a cluster and reposition the parts. So what this will do is it'll take all the elements from where they were currently sitting and put them all on your crosshair. And whenever I drop the elements down, it'll create a cluster out of them. So if I came over here and I selected another group of 6 pages and said reposition, you'll see that those elements will also be. So I showed you auto clustering earlier, and this is more of an interactive approach to clustering. And this would be used if you wanted to select portions of pages along with a certain chipset or something like that. You could do that. You can also start any Allegro command, like for instance right now we're in the move command. And if I were to say move these elements, you'll see that those elements are selected and you're now in the Allegro move command, and you would actually be able to move those elements. Likewise, if you wanted to highlight specific nets or highlight specific components, you could also do that through cross-probing. Another aspect of the cross-probing is that I can actually go the opposite direction. Say, for instance, I want to find out where these components reside in the schematic. I can select those elements within Allegro, and you'll see that those elements have been selected in the schematic. And you can navigate using the navigation buttons on the toolbar, or you can hold a right mouse button down and you'll see what pages all those elements reside on and the actual elements that you selected. So now if I select the element from the right mouse button, it'll take me directly to that element. I can also select on the page of the elements or the individual element itself. Likewise, I can cross-probe nets as well. If I wanted to cross-probe, say, for instance, these nets here, it'll show you a temporary highlight of those nets. However, if I wanted to start the Allegro, which this is a temporary highlight, if I wanted to show rats of specific nets within Allegro, I can do that as well. However, this command actually isn't a temporary highlight. This will actually keep the displayed nets that are selected. Another place that cross-probing is very useful is in reviewing a design. So let me call up, do this real quick. I'll just start a board that is actually completed. If I wanted to check some routing of nets, okay. Go into shadow mode here. I'll start cross-probing again. Wanted our components are sitting. Again, I can select the elements. Those are all the nets. What if I show you all the components? This is where all the components are sitting. So if you see a part that seems like it's out of place, you can then verify that that is the right location and move forward. So here, if I were to look at this cluster, you'll see that all the parts are in different positions on that cluster. Likewise, if I look at this one, you'll see that one of the parts seems to be out of location. So then I would verify that that is the right location and move forward. Likewise, I can actually check some routing. So if I wanted to review some routing, I could do that. You can see where that route is. Zoom back in there. So it'll show me that route. It'll show me this route. I can put a window through a group of nets and see all the routes related to that. I can reset, and I can say those four. I can reset again and say these four. Or I can actually just select all the elements or all the nets and see how all those nets are routed. If I wanted to add additional nets, I could hold a shift button down. If I wanted to just reset, I just click inside the window and it will change my selection set, and you can see how these nets are routed. Likewise, if I wanted to select all the elements that are of, let's say, these 6 pages, we'll go back to component. I showed you how I could reposition parts for an interactive auto clustering. Well, here I'm going to actually define a cluster keep position. And what this will allow me to do is, now that this is a cluster, I can actually save this off as a CircuitSpace template. So to ensure that I'm actually getting the correct parts in the template, I would actually want to possibly use cross-probing to do that function. And that's auto clustering in CircuitSpace. If you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to call tech support or EMA tech support, or to send us email at techsupport@ema-eda.com.